We ready to launch this thing? Or?
I think so.
Sure, why not?
Hey, let's do that.
What page should I be on?
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Ladies and gentlemen,
Totally pre-recorded in Bonner Springs, Kansas.
Kansas City Nights. I'm Brian Rice,
I'm Shannon Geever.
and today's guest is the one and only Skip Godley, bass player for Superstar Mafia, formerly of League of Nations, and
Riot going on.
Riot Going On.
Yeah.
The Moorhead.
Moorhead,
The Rent. The Rent, yes.
Epic Records. Was
Fast Times.
Oh, okay.
He's been around.
Oh, yeah.
Purple Jam.
Boom. Oh, that's coming up.
All right, that's right. Are you going to be part of Purple Jam this year?
Yes, I plan on being there.
What do you know? What songs you're gonna? Are you gonna play, or are you just gonna hang?
I'm going to play. I'm going to play about 4 or 5 songs.
Do you know which songs they are, or you want to keep them secret, or?
I want to keep them secret.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you excited to be doing those 4 songs?
Always.
Or
Always. I love that.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's way fun. It started me as far as you know, me being here now.
Yeah. Okay.
In front of you. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you then.
right, because by then the Rent had pretty much folded.
Right.
That was your last band before Mafia, right?
Correct.
You know. So.
By the way, this is Kansas City Nights, the podcast, the Superstar Mafia version. I'll be playing the part of Nate Leonard. Is it Nate Leonard? Right. So in case of you know, just so you're comfortable, you know.
This is his look. Look at the camera.
If I want to tag you, is that okay?
There you
So,
go.
yeah, we got that. Okay. Let's switch back.
So you played. You guys played last night at where'd you get the Levee, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got over about 2:00 in the morning, and you're here today. So
How
thank
hard
you.
are those gigs? Because that's the only. Most places are midnight now.
Right. It's not easy, but it's what you do.
Do they still get that after hours crowd that files in after midnight
Yeah, they do.
and it gets crazy?
Yeah.
Well,
it
there
is.
you go.
Kids.
They do that, and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's really weird though, because I don't know if they're going through a flux or change or what. But last night there were a lot of older people there, at least for us,
Right.
you know. And then you have the younger crowd, you know, and that for a while there it was just a young crowd, you know, after the pandemic.
Right.
And now, and then, so I don't know what's going on, but hey.
Well, as long as you're not fighting on the dance floor, then you know,
no fighting on dance floor.
no dance offs.
No, I'm kicking people off the stage.
There you go. Yeah. Right.
But yeah.
So that doesn't happen to it. Some guy got up on stage last night.
Got up on stage. Deanne, we were at the last song, Purple Rain, and this guy gets up on stage. Deanne is singing the woo part, you know, and he decides to get up on stage, and I can't tell what he's doing, but he's right next to her. He's grabbed the mic, kind of sharing, and I'm trying to listen. I'm going, okay, can he sing? No, he can't. He's talking, you know, and he's just talking, and it's like, dude.
Were you able to understand anything he was saying?
No.
Was just the music too loud?
No, and it's like, dude, no, you know, come, go.
So you like tapped him on the shoulder and
Yeah, told him get out. You know, you don't do that to people. You know, you know, if you want to be in a band, get in a band.
right.
You know, if we know you and you're cool, then we know you and you're cool.
Right.
But no, you don't do that.
You know, he's lucky because DM would have jacked him up.
It probably.
So, seriously, he'd be taking out an ambulance or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
So, are you from Kansas City?
I was born and raised in Kansas
You
City.
were? Okay, I did not know that.
I was
All right.
Born and raised here. And I've been around a little bit here and there. Lived in Columbia, Missouri for a minute.
Oh, hey, okay.
I lived in the Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, Illinois for a minute.
Sure.
It's all college stuff. And then ended up in the Bay Area, you know.
How did that take place?
How did the Bay Area take place?
Yeah.
I had a friend in Carbondale, Illinois, who we stayed in touch. And he moved to the Bay Area. He moved to San Francisco. And I was a big fan of this one musician. His name was Narda Michael Walden. And he called me one day, my friend, and he says, you know, I know somebody that knows him, and he lives here in the Bay Area. If you come out here to visit me, I'll make sure you meet him. And I went, whoa, hell yeah. Because I adored this guy. I thought this guy, his just music was great.
What was he in any bands? I mean, how did you discover him in the first place? This guy in San Francisco and
Narda Michael Walden was a drummer. Mm-hmm. He was a drummer for Mahavishnu Orchestra, which was a jazz fusion band. And he went on to play for Jeff Beck. He wrote a couple of Jeff Beck songs.
Okay.
In the end, what people know him for is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and he did Freeway of Love with Aretha Franklin.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He did Mariah Carey's Visions of Love. He did How Will I Know, Whitney Houston.
Uh-huh. Yep, right.
But at the time I met him, he hadn't got there yet. He was going towards that.
So you did get to meet him.
Oh, yeah. Very first day.
Okay. Oh, hey, okay.
Very
Don't waste
first
no
day.
time on that.
Very first day.
Okay, nice.
And I went to, he had a rehearsal space. I went there, and it was very short, you know, but and he walked over to me. We got introduced, and he said, you're a musician, right? And I said, yeah. He said, you know, here's what's going on. He says, the bass player is new. And he came in late, and I need to have a kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. I said, I hear you. And so we kind of left. And the bass player happened to be Randy Jackson.
Oh, my God. No way.
Yeah, way. And we kept meeting as, you know, we would always meet Narda and Randy Jackson and the musicians. You know, I wasn't there all the time by any stretch of imagination, but they would come when I worked at Tower Records. They would come there and get records and buy them there, and you know, we talked. We knew each other, so that's what happened there. So I went there that day. I saw, you know, Narda, and I saw the Pacific Ocean, and I said,
yeah,
this is the place for me.
Right now.
And I had also, years previously, had visited San Francisco and went to Tower Records. I said, one of these days. And one of these days happened.
Fulfilled that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Way to go. Have you always been a bass player?
Always.
Always.
Always wanted to be.
Good for you. Great. No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
I had in fact, my parents bought me a guitar, and I just, what is this thing? This doesn't sound.
Strings.
Yeah. What, you know, I didn't know, you know, and it just didn't sound right to me. Mm-hmm. And I went over to a friend's house, and he had a roommate there, and there was this 4-string guitar. And I went, what is that? And the guy said, that's a bass. And I said, what does that sound like? And he plugged it in, and I went, that's the sound.
That's it.
That's
right
what
there.
it is.
Bingo.
Yeah, and I said, dude, can I buy that from you? Because he wasn't using it, and I bought it from him. It's still in my closet still.
Oh,
probably.
hey, nice. You still have it.
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Well,
What
that's
do you think?
okay.
We put it together.
It's still around, though.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I in high school, I played tuba and bass trombone.
All right.
In college, I played bass trombone and baritone. So I've always been a bass clef guy.
Okay.
And so I lean towards bass players.
Cool.
My favorite bass player, I love Dream Theater.
Oh, right.
And so John Myung is
Okay.
my favorite bass player. And so I love throwing that out to musicians, especially bass players, because you know who he is.
Oh yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, right.
He's way beyond me.
Yeah.
Way beyond me.
And then just real quick, Billy Sheehan and I've blocked him on Facebook. So
What? You blocked Billy?
You know what? He was just an asshole to me.
Really?
So I said, fine, Billy Sheehan.
Really?
F you, bro.
That's it's just really funny because I have had a couple of encounters that are very slight, but he's answered back and he's been cool. But the same thing happened to me with Bill Murray. He was a dick.
Oh,
he was an absolute dick.
How did by the way, I mean, Skip, you do a lot on Facebook. I mean, you post a lot, and you're always commenting and people and stuff. So I can see how you would. So how did that come about? Where Bill Murray was a dick to you?
I was in New York.
Oh, okay, shit. He wasn't okay.
I flew to New York. I like to go places when I can, and I went to New York, and I went and saw this play that was called. Can I curse here?
Yes.
This play was called That Motherfucker in a Hat.
Okay.
And in the play was Bobby Chevelle. He's does NYPD and all these all kinds of stuff. And Chris Rock was in the play. Mm-hmm. And the woman, I can't think of her name, Annabella's. She's in Jungle Fever. But they're all in this play. So anyway, I go to the play, and they have a bar in the back, and Bill Murray is there. And I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And I've met lots of people, so I don't, and I had a camera, but I didn't do anything like this or I had it in my pocket. And I said, "Hey, man, listen, can you do me a favor? Can I, take a picture with you?" And he looked at me and went, "No, you didn't even introduce yourself properly." It's like, what do you mean? I just say, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
I've never had this, say, hello, my name is Skip Godley."
Right.
So yeah, he pulled this dick move. I really don't know why.
Yeah.
But fuck him.
There you go. So Billy Sheehan and Bill Murray. So it's the Bills. We're anti-Bills.
Yeah, no joke.
Today
No
is
joke.
what it is. There. Okay, so so you've been playing bass all your life. Now, do you just pick this stuff up naturally, or did you really have to practice to be a good bass player?
Lessons and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
how do you work on that?
I took some piano lessons when I was younger, when I was a kid, and that was that as far as no, I did a little music theory, which I've totally forgot when I was in college, but I just picked it up by ear.
Okay.
And that's always the way it's been, is just by ear.
Yeah. So then you can hear a song and kind of get it going.
How does it work though when you're talking to somebody who's trained, so to speak, when you're trying to communicate? Do you just pick up the phrases like bars and measurements and what notes what? And because if you're trying to communicate with somebody else and like, no, you need to be in this key, not that key, are you able to do that, or is it just?
Well, I can change keys. Hopefully I know ahead of time. I'm not, one of those studied musicians. I'm just not, but it's always worked. I've never really had a problem, ever, to be quite honest. At one point, I was playing with a jazz band because they couldn't find another bass player, and I just stayed in the pocket. I just said, and they gave me the sheet music. Whoa.
Yeah.
But they needed a bass player. I said, listen, you find another bass player and they want to play, I understand. But if you need a bass player to just hold it for you while you guys do all the soloing and all that stuff, and I can do that.
Right.
You just play the music or give me the record or whatever it is you want, and I can do that. And, there was no problem. That's what I did.
Okay.
But that's how I do it. I would love to go back, and I should go back. The more you know in music, the better off you are.
Right.
But, I haven't done that.
Right.
So I just I play by ear.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
And the stuff I play is pretty danceable, pretty straightforward music.
Right.
It's not like Stanley Clark or what's your boy's name in Dream Theater?
John Myung.
Yeah, does he play by? How's he do it?
I don't know. He's all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, he's I don't know. He's not very standard bass player.
Yeah, I had one time I had a little tea with what's his name, bass player, Victor Ruden, and I was at this bass player thing they used to have down in L.A. called Bass Player Live, and a whole bunch of us bass players all in this room. Victor Ruden goes, how many of you think you could play with Prince? Well, nobody raised their hand. Mm-hmm. He said, how many of you think you can play with, and he named somebody else, nobody raised their hand. And then he says, how many of you think you can play with the Rolling Stones? And I raised my hand. And he said, do you really think you can play with the Rolling Stones? I said, yeah, I could do that. I could knock that out. He said, do you know how to read? I said, don't know how to read. He said, well, how would you learn? I said, buy a tape. They give me a tape, I'd learn it. I'm pretty sure I could learn that. Mm-hmm. And he went, no, you had to have more than that. I said, no, man, I think I've heard of people giving people tapes. Sure enough, the guy who plays for the Rolling Stones now was there. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. The new
bass player,
Daryl Jones.
Okay,
and so he was there at the same convention, and at one point it was Victor Ruden. Daryl Jones walks in. I said, "Hey man, let me ask you a question. How did you, play for that? How did you learn the music for the Rolling Stones?" He said, "They gave me a tape."
There you go.
But
there you go.
But and he was right. When his name came up, Keith Richards said, "Well, who is he?" And they said, "Well, he played for Miles." Now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You played for
Right.
Miles. And
Yeah.
so Richard said, give him a tape. Mm-hmm. But I said, but they gave you a tape. That's all I need. But anyway,
Who is your favorite bass player? Your number one.
I don't think I have one right now.
Okay.
There were lots of people when I was coming up, that Stanley Clark, Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay.
I loved Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chris Squire from Yes.
Wow.
I loved Chris Squire. I just thought he was just
Roundabout.
cold-blooded.
I mean, that right there. Yeah.
I just thought he was great. Mm-hmm. So those are the first three to come to mind. James Jamerson from the Motown sessions, all that stuff he did. So
have you met any of those
Yes.
people that you've met? You see, I knew he was going to say yes.
Yeah.
Who have you met?
Stanley Clark. Met him. I met Chris Squire 3 times. Once in the same day, twice. I was down in L.A. and I went to this brunch place, and I went down to the restroom. And me and my friend, we were both bass players. We had to go to the restroom. We went down to this underground there, and they had another setup for a restaurant there, and Chris Squire was there, talking to the guy behind the bar. It was just him. It was like in 11 o'clock, and I noticed who it was. And I went, whoa, Chris Squire. And the woman that was with him said, "You must be a bass player." I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I met him then, and then that same day, actually, I was at a record store in Melrose, and he happened to be there. And I did this. I felt so stupid after I did it. There was a record that I really liked by this guy named David Sanchez, who at one point was the original keyboard player for Bruce Springsteen. He's the guy that plays on Born to Run and all that stuff. He's that guy. Anyway, he's a guitar player, keyboard player.
you name it.
Yeah,
right.
And he was doing fusion stuff at the time, and he had this great record called Tone, and I suggested it to Chris Squire, and Chris Squire said, "Oh yeah, a friend of mine produced this," and it was Eddie Ofer that produced the album.
Okay,
So I was like, "Oh, I
connected."
I
just connected all over the place,
Yeah.
man. Wow,
So,
wow.
And then I met, I don't remember who else I told you I met, but
That's okay. That's all right. There's more people that we're going to be talking about. I do want to go back though. We talk about you having piano lessons when you were young. Who was there? A family member or somebody that really, propelled you in music, or pushed pointed you in that right direction?
My mother and my family just always supported me in that way. And I'm sure I'm the one that asked to play piano, and they went and bought me a piano, which wasn't,
okay.
I come from a poor black family, but
they're not
they
cheap.
actually did that.
So you're talking like a baby. What are they called? Like an actual, like, is it grand? Not a grand piano, but like the kind that
Yeah, the compact one.
push up against the wall. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that kind. But we went to Jenkins. I remember that, and getting the piano. And remember Jenkins? Yeah, and
Right.
Doing that, and I played for a couple of years, and I don't sing a lot of front vocals or backgrounds, but it was because of that I learned how to even sing and play at anything. I didn't know it at the time, but it gave me something to kind of, I can do that at times because of, having to sing the song and play.
Right.
But yeah, my mother was really into it. My mother at one point tried to learn how to play guitar herself.
Okay.
And my mother was way ahead of her
All
curve.
right. Hey.
Way ahead of her curve.
Yeah. Is she still with us?
Yes, she is.
That's great. What's your mom's name?
Vivian.
Vivian?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I'm
Vivian.
sure, and Vivian's seen you perform,
Vivian
right?
Godley. Yes, she
Okay.
has seen me perform.
Well, I'm
she's
sure that she is very proud.
she's
Of you.
87 now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And still knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
She can tell you where to go and what to do, and she I haven't told her yet, but Big Frida is coming to the Boulevardia, and she's a big Frida fan.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. My mother's something. Yeah, she reads. She gets on her. At one point, she used to have all these books on the shelf. And I noticed that there weren't any more books. They were just the same books. And I said, "Are you still reading?" She said, "Yeah." Well, look at me crazy. Why did you ask me that? And I said, "Because I don't see any new books." She said, "Oh, I'm on the Nook now."
She's plugged in.
Yeah, big.
You don't need.
Yeah, begging my pardon. Excuse me. So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. God bless her, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you ever bring her out to the Bay Area or anything?
she
like
came
that?
and visited me once. She did actually. Actually, she was going to go. She got in some chat room with the 50+ crowd and was going to meet all the 50+ crowd people. They had figured a way to all meet at some
Sounds like that
place
South
in
Park episode where all the old people take over South Park.
But and at the time she was in her 60s, and I said, "Well, you're in the 50s. Why are you talking to 50?" She goes, "Because some old people, they..."
Right. You don't need to be around them old people.
Excuse me. Yeah, so yeah, she did, and she's seen a couple of the bands I'm in. I don't think she's seen. She hasn't seen Superstar Mafia, but she's seen a bunch of them. Some of them she hasn't seen, but she knows I'm around and all that.
Right. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your bands then. Let's go there.
Yeah, we like to start toward the beginning in the original era because I think
The beginning.
pre-cover bands, what we're interested in is like when what was the first band that you joined? And I'm assuming this would have been
80s.
Right? 90s,
80s, 90s, 70s.
Well, I had a friend, still my friend, one of my best friends. His name's Marlon Bankston, And
Yes.
Marlon, okay, Marlon, okay,
Yeah.
Marlon is my best friend, and Marlon and I went to the same high school together. Mm-hmm. And
What high school was
which
it?
was Lillis High. I was a Catholic school.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lillis High, and Marlon, played there. And one day somebody bought an acoustic guitar, and he pulled it out and started playing Hendrix or whatever on acoustic guitar, and I went, "Whoa, who's this guy?" And then I asked him off the top of my head, I said, "Hey, man, do you know any Alice Cooper?" Because I was in Alice Cooper at the time. And he started playing 18 on acoustic guitar. And I said, "Oh, I need this. I need this guy here, And so anyway, I started playing bass, and he was doing bands and stuff, and I would be around, and he had a place to practice, and, it was always somebody going in and out of there at all times. And so we never had a band together. We just played, and then the next thing you know, I started, what happened was one of the other guys at school, his name was Arthur Payne, and Arthur came with the proposition of, have you guys ever thought about doing your own music? I got some music I've done, and I'm trying to put music to it, and we went to Chapman Studios, if you remember that. It was a studio that was all the musicians will know.
Okay.
And we went there and, played some original stuff. And I never even thought about that until, Arthur came along. And so I started playing original stuff. And just as I was doing that with them, I moved to, the Bay Area. Oakland, California, San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And, so I've been really playing a band, but we would do things.
You're in Kansas
around.
City.
Yeah.
So what year did you move to the Bay Area?
June 6th, I believe, 1980.
Wow. Okay.
I can tell you this much. You can look up and see when Diana Ross album came out, produced by Chic. That was the day I went out there.
Wow.
I remember that being on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you went right to with the Tower Records?
I didn't.
Is that your first job there?
That was my first job.
Okay.
That was my first.
Well,
job.
you had planned that plan anyways.
Yeah.
So
you say Bay Area as opposed to San Francisco. So you lived all over.
I lived in San Francisco. When I first got there, I lived in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then I moved to Oakland and was there, which is like right across the bridge from Kansas City, Kansas.
Sure.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Missouri. So anyway, that's how I did it. But that was my first job, and they gave you. I went to Tower Records, and they gave me a test, and I'm pretty sure I did 100% on that test.
The test being
music. Do you know? I don't know.
So and so, and who played bass on that?
Yeah, who did this? And so
a lot stricter than I imagined they'd be today for similar.
well, now you can just look it up. But
yeah.
back then,
well, you couldn't look it up then. You had, they went. Well, I don't know.
card catalog or whatever.
I wonder sometimes
The Dewey Decimal System.
yes.
Yeah. I wonder sometimes this iPhone would have been around if I would have been, because I met lots of people there, and I probably couldn't take pictures of them, but you want to take pictures of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are many times I used to go, oh God, I wish they had a camera.
You brought some memorabilia with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get that out and talk to us about some of these bands? Then you've been in.
I'll tell you one.
Okay.
The one I was the most I was proud about all of them actually. They were all pretty cool. In that regard, I'll tell you about them. Period. I had one of the first ones I had was a band called Sweat Pony.
Sweat Pony.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Sweat Pony
Look at you, man.
was
Dang.
a woman. Her name was Karen. She was a guitar player and singer, and she wrote, and I wrote with her. And then we had forever. It took us forever to find a drummer. I mean, forever. And the only way we found a drummer was one of my friends here, his name was Mark Lomax, called me one day and said, you know what, man, I'm tired. I don't know what to do. And I said, man, are you playing out here, in Kansas City? No, I'm not really. And I said, come on, I got a band. Come on out here, and he came out and he stayed with me. I got my job at Tower Records. I found a drum set. I don't know how.
Oh,
but
okay. You just kind of got him going. We need a drummer so bad. I'm going to make somebody a drummer.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so we played. It was kind of a cross between, I like to say this, between Susan Vega and Cameo.
Okay.
It was kind of funky, kind of Susan Vega kind of thing going. And so we played, and then we got to a band called, oh Lord.
By the way, they played with Bongo People and
Attaboy.
Yeah, and that place
$3.
is called Night Break, where we played
Night
at.
Break.
And Night Break was a place on the Haight there, and
Man.
it was
Dang,
a
dude.
well-known
That's-
alternative place. And the guy that booked his name is Jimmy Lyons, and Jimmy is still a friend of mine. And Jimmy is actually one of the first guys to book Primus, give Primus their
wow.
gig. Yeah.
Okay, talk about it. There's a bass player for you right there.
Lace Claypool, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Jimmy, gave them their first gigs before they became Primus.
Yeah.
And they were doing a totally different kind of funk thing at that time. And then it got weird.
Real weird.
Yeah. But and then after that, then we had a band called White Logic. And
White Logic.
yeah.
Funky. Funky. The rhythm section kicks.
Yeah, that was me and Mark. So we.
Oh, is this you guys right here? Mm-hmm. See, yeah. Look. I mean, look at them. Right. I guess we're all younger,
Yeah,
right? We,
yeah.
we change our looks, but
Yeah,
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
And then I had a band called the League of Nations.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the one that I'm familiar
all
with.
right.
Yeah.
Wow,
And, it was a very interesting band.
wow. Okay, and was that here?
No, it was there.
That was in the Bay Area.
Yeah, all these are Bay Area things.
Okay.
And they're all original bands. It was also all original music.
All original music.
All original music.
And League of Nations. How would you describe that music?
Punk pop.
Punk pop. That's right up my alley too.
Pop kind of missing persons kind of
yeah.
kind of thing.
Nice.
Punk pop.
Okay.
And
All
so
right.
we did that. The singer is her and keyboard player. That's me on bass, of course. Tom's the guitar player, and he was the drummer. His name was David. Anyway, we played for a while. And I don't ever remember there being any breakup of any kind where anybody got mad at anybody. It just kind of, people just
You go their own way. People grow.
Yeah.
People
do
change.
their own thing.
Are any of these folks still in the music industry that you know of?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Mimi. She's in California. She's in L.A. Her husband, his name is Leslie, and they're there. They have 2 daughters, and their daughters are doing what she
Okay.
did. She's a DJ.
Oh. All right.
She was a DJ in San Francisco when I was there, and now she's a DJ down in L.A. She used to date Chris Isaac.
Wow.
Oh, hey.
And
Was that pre what's
Wicked
the song?
Game?
Wicked Game.
Yeah, just a little before Wicked
Yeah.
Game, but when she got married to Leslie, who's a cool dude, she had Jonathan Cain played the wedding march for.
Oh, whoa, wow! From
Journey?
Jonathan Cain
Yeah.
from Journey.
Yeah.
Nice.
In fact, Journey's when I worked at Tower Records, Journey's building headquarters was right next door.
Well, they are a San Francisco band.
Yeah.
So yeah. So,
So what era? I think what was it? League of Nations was mid '80s, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So that's where we're all at in the chronological tale.
We're in the 80s, and then we get to kind of the 90s with this band called Riot Going On, and this is Riot Going On.
okay, Riot Going On. Yes.
And this was in the 80s. Riot Going On is acid funk rock, acid funk rap, acid funk jazz, acid funk. Formed of Flesh and Blood in the winter of Desert Storm 1990. Welcome to funk.
Formed in the winter of Desert Storm 1990. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm. That's what I wrote.
Huh. Oh, that's what you wrote.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
write these things and
All right.
build on the house of the family stone with all praise to the Godfather and hip hop nation under a groove. The words about mass media, war, Mother Earth, love and hate, physical, spiritual people funking for the funk of it. Party. Just listen. So this is a band I had. And this one is the one I'm really, really the proudest of.
Okay.
They came very, very close. We had made a demo, and that demo, and again, these are original things. We made a demo, and the demo didn't quite work, and so I said, "Well, let's try another one." And we made another demo, and this one clicked, and we were always playing around in clubs and things, and anyway. In Billboard magazine, they had something about there was a thing called New Music Seminar, and they were in New York. And what they did was, they were looking for people to come to New York during their New Music Seminar, and if they liked you, they would set you up with a gig in New York. Send a demo. So I sent our demo, and they got back and said, "Not only do we like you, we want you to come play." And we want to use one of your songs on the tape tape we give out to people.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, sure. And at the meantime, we had a record company called Moonshine Records. They were a small label, but they were international. And they heard, and this is really weird. I got this call one day, and they said, "Are you the guy with Riot Going On?" I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Well, we like to use one of your songs on our disc." And I said, "Well, how'd you find this?" He said, "It's really funny. Somebody dropped out of the thing. It was like a sampler of a lot of acid funk bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, somebody dropped out, and somebody is playing your music here in our office." And we just said, "Who is this?" And that's
It's like
how
a Riot Going On. Well, you don't know these guys?
Riot Going On,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
So they, New Music Seminar, we went to New York, and when I got there, you have to say your name and you're registered and all that stuff, and that's pre-registering or whatever it is. And the guy was flipping through, and he said, "Oh, here's something for you," and it was a card that Randy Jackson,
Here we go.
who I knew from back in the day.
Right. when he was couldn't show up on time bass player, right?
Yeah. And now he's an A&R guy.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm
Here's the
going-
back. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Keep
Whoa.
going. I'm sorry.
I'm going, whoa. So I call him at this hotel. The hotel number's there somewhere. I called him at the hotel and said, "Randy," he said, "Wait a second. Is this the Skip I know?" I said, "Yeah, man, it's me." He said, "Wow, well, I keep hearing about your band." He said, "I'm going to come see you guys." And we played, and we opened up we played at this club, and we opened up for Dion Ferris, who had just done a solo thing with Randy. Her solo album, and Deion Ferris used to be a background singer for Arrested Development, if you remember Arrested Tennessee. Yeah. So anyway, he came, he saw us, he left a message saying that, hey,
I had to leave to see
Bradford.
I loved it. Please call me next week. RJ.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah. So
that is great.
Yeah. So I called him and he said, man, I let's get together for lunch. And so I went to lunch and he said, tell me, I see something here. Tell me if what I see, do you have a concept? And I said, yes, very much. He said, tell me what the concept is. Mm-hmm. And I told him, and he said, that's exactly what I hear.
Yeah.
I said, cool, man.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
And so he came and saw us a couple of times, there. He came to San Jose and saw us a couple of times and wherever else. I think he saw us 2 or 3 times. I don't remember. It didn't happen, unfortunately, but he pushed for it.
You're almost there. I mean,
yeah, he pushed
a lot closer than other bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So we had all these things kind of happening. And so, but it was a good ego. Let's put it that way. It's like, okay, I know I have some idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Let's be sure and tag Randy Jackson on our post so he can listen to this podcast.
Yeah, please do.
He'd be like, I know Skip.
Yeah, I know Skip. So and he knew everybody too, man. He knew it. And he was a lot like what he is on American Idol. He's hyped up more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he's a nice guy. He was a really, really nice guy. And like I said, I knew him, one of the first people I met when I moved to the Bay Area.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
How things come around sometimes.
Yeah. And I had at one point I had somebody that was kind of down on their luck and he knew this person and he would call and, even say, hey man, how's he doing? How's it going on? He was those nice guys.
Yeah.
So he was cool.
Nice.
Before we get out of San Francisco, talk about when you were working at Tower Records and a particular person wanted to know if they had the new Michael Jackson tape in. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay. I'm at Tower Records. I'm in the tape department. That's where I was. And I'm running the cash register. And I've got a bunch of tapes. And I'm just, nobody's there. And I'm, doing my job, taping, putting the prices on all the tapes. I'm looking down, and somebody comes up to me, a woman says, do you have the Michael Jackson tape? And I said, no, we don't. And I'm still looking down.
Now which album?
Thriller.
Okay.
And,
Hey.
And actually, it might have been Off the Wall. I don't know.
Still, either one.
One of the
either
two.
one. Yeah.
I don't remember. It's weird. I think it was Thriller, though. But I'm sitting there, and I'm, pricing the tapes. And I say, no, we don't. Probably be back in on Monday, Tuesday. He said, okay. And she went on about, and I'm sitting there pricing, and all of a sudden later on, this whole glob of tapes falls down on the, at the table. And I look up, and it's Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. And the first thing that I go is Princess Leia. And she goes, now do you have the Michael Jackson? And I go, no, I still don't have it. But we were talking, and I'm,
Man.
And I say, she goes, yeah, I'm going to get a Walkman. I've never had one, and I got all these tapes for the Walkman. You know where I can get a Walkman? I said, yeah, down the street there's a place. It was kind of like a Circuit City kind of place. You can go down there and get one. And so she went on about her way, and I'm sitting there still typing. I noticed that her credit card is still there. So I get somebody to take my register, and I go down to the place hoping that she went there. And sure enough, she does. She's coming out, and I hold up the card, and she comes up to me, and she gives me a really, really beautiful hug.
Yeah, I bet.
And she and at one point I asked her, I say, listen, in the Empire Strikes Back, Yoda says that there's somebody else who has the Force. If I tell you who I think it is, will you tell me?
Now let's step back and put this more in context. This has to be 1982, 83.
Yeah.
Before Jedi, the Return of the Jedi was
Right.
released, which was
Yeah.
83. So nobody knew who Yoda was talking about.
Correct.
People were still wondering if Vader was really Luke's father or not. That was the big question. So this is the time frame for people to understand exactly the context of why he would ask that question, because Jedi hadn't come out yet.
Right. Jedi hadn't came out yet, and I don't know if she had just started to film it or it was, somewhere before the last Jedi came out. So I said, listen, will you tell me if I'm right? And she goes, man, I can't do that. And then she goes, you know what? Tell you what. Yeah, I'll do it. I said, really, seriously, you'll do it? And she said, yeah, go ahead, go for it. And I say, Han Solo. And she laughs and says, go see the movie.
Right. Where's the
And if
There
you know,
you go, that one.
if you know Star Wars lore, you know
Yes.
what the joke is.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Huh. Well, that, and any other names you want to drop before we get out of San Francisco here? Anybody else that you met? Did you meet Alice Cooper? You talked about you loved Alice Cooper. You never met Alice Cooper?
Never met Alice Cooper.
Dang
I'd
it.
love to.
I met him once at a Comic-Con a couple of years,
Really?
2 years ago or something. He's a little guy.
I'd
you
love
know.
to, man.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
never met Alice Cooper. Wow, let's see. I met Tilly Savalas.
Oh, hey, yo.
And that's a funny one.
Who loves
because-
you, baby?
Yeah. He was in line. It's really funny. People don't know who's right in front of them. They have no idea. Most of the people I've met have been around lots of people, and nobody knows them or doesn't see them there. And Tilly Savalas came in, and he was in line to get his tape, and this little black girl comes up to him and says, "Are you Kojak?" And he looks down at her, and he grabs her by the cheek and says, "Yeah." And she goes, "No, you're not. You don't have your lollipop."
Oh,
and she
hey.
walks away. He looks at me and he goes, "Kids."
Kids.
I met Prince twice.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
how did that go?
Dude.
I met Prince twice.
In what context? And
And what? Here's the context. The context was a 1999 album had just dropped a couple of weeks before, and he walks into the tape room, and he's got the big dude with him named Chick, who has passed away, but his bodyguard, he's got him with him, and Prince is the most immaculate. You could eat off of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, every hair is in place. I mean, he is just immaculate. I've never seen a more immaculate human being in my life. And I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And he kind of did this thing. I said, "Oh, no, man, come on. You got to come over here and give me some love, because I talk good about you."
Yeah.
And I had been for years talking about how great I thought Prince
Yeah.
could be.
right.
Yeah.
And I knew a situation where Warner Brothers had thought about getting rid of him and dropping him because there was a problem child. That's what they called him. And I actually talked to a executive and said, "Man, don't do that. Don't let him go. He's going to be huge. Let him do."
Now, how are you in a position to talk to an executive and express that?
Because I worked at Tower Records.
Oh, so they sent their people.
So
to,
they-
Andy Skip Godley.
So they
Yeah.
they would come around. The record reps there all had RCA, Warner Brothers Electric Atlantic was one thing. There were a couple. I can't think of all the other ones, but all of them had reps in
Yeah.
that Capitol. They all had reps in the Bay Area.
Okay.
There in San Francisco. So even here at one point, this is very interesting. Even here, at least for me, even here at one point, they had record reps. Back in the before I left in the 80s, they had a guy that worked for RCA here. I knew a guy that worked for Arista here. They lived, in Kansas City. So they would go around to the record stores and talk to, the people that worked there, and bring people, to meet you or,
Okay.
So that's how I knew these people.
All right. So you were they were in Tower Records one day, and you
Yeah.
overheard them, or just in the course of them.
Yeah, no, the record rep came in and with the executive, and they introduced me and, we start talking. You know, and in the course of talking,
You
I
just
bought a
dropped
Prince.
Yeah.
I bought a Prince. Well,
Hey,
man,
you
what
gotta
are
get
you
rid of this
guys
guy.
doing with Prince? He goes, well, I don't know. In fact, we're going to have, I had two things like this where we're going to have a meeting about him because I don't know. I said, oh, man, no, don't let him go. He's got something.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, and at this point he had done, the first album had one rock thing on it called Take Me, I'm Yours. And I went, if he goes that direction, he's going to be huge. And every album he would do something more rockier.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came to Dirty Mind, which was just,
Yeah.
and I said, dude, don't let him go. He's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with him. Trust me. And so anyway, Prince comes to the store. He nods. I said, oh, man, come on. Just give me some love because I talk really good about you. I didn't tell him what. But
Right.
I talk, come on over here and shake my hand. Then he came over and he had a glove on.
He's a smaller guy. He was a smaller guy.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Way small. And he shook my hand. I said, cool, man. Tell me if you need something, let me know. And I left him alone. And then he came up. I said, listen, before you leave, would you do some autographs for me? He said, who are they for? He has that low voice. Who are they for? I said, they're for me, man. Come on. What do you mean who are they for? They're for me. I'm a big fan. And so he said, okay, before I leave. I said, cool. So he did, and a couple other people, he signed some stuff from him. And I should have bought those. But anyway.
You do have those, though.
Yes. And I was so poor at that point, I just had him sign the sleeves. So therefore, I could take the sleeves and take the record I had and put the sleeves in. I didn't put it on the covers.
Yeah.
But anyway, he signed a Dirty Mind. He signed 1999, the inside covers.
God.
And so he left, and a couple of days later, Chick came in by himself, and he said, he walked up to me and said, you kind of got to him. I said, why? He said, nobody talks to him like that. Nobody talks. Everybody says yes and is quiet. You're the first person in a long time that threw him off.
Well, you're a personal guy. So,
And I just said, well, whatever. And then, so I had worked for Warner Brothers. At this point, I had a little job for half a second at Warner Brothers.
Right.
And Prince toured the 1999 tour. And I got backstage,
Wow, you were backstage.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there with all the, and at that time, I still think about it. He was going through a flux of people there in his band, but it was the band. It was the blonde Jill Jones, who was in the 1999, The Blonde, her. And anyway, I don't remember who else. It's been a while. And he walks in, and there's this wooden box next to me. And he opens up the box, and in it are his clothes. And he's looking at his clothes, and he's looking at them, and he looks at me, and he goes, you look familiar. I said, Tower Records. And he puts out this big smile, and he goes, I remember you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you basically saved his career to begin with. So he should remember you, for God's sakes. Man, what a deal.
Yeah, I don't know if I saved his career, but I definitely
What a memory.
talked about it. Yeah. But he remembered me, which was it was cool, man. It was very like, wow, Prince remembered me.
That's remarkable, dude.
Yeah.
That's
So-
really remarkable.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right.
No, I was going to say, I think we're about what time did you move back to Kansas City, or did you go somewhere else after the Bay Area before coming?
I moved back. 9/11 happened, and the week after, I was laid off from my job at Esprit, and I said to myself, and which is really funny, and people for years when I moved back here, remember that. But I had said to myself when I left, I'm never coming back to Kansas City again.
Whoa. Why? Did you just a bad taste? Or,
Yeah, it was a bad taste. And when I would come back to Kansas City, it was, and somebody, mentioned this to me, I said, wow, they're right. I would come back and it was about a funeral.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
So a lot of bad association.
yeah. And it was about a funeral, and somebody said, you need to go there when it's not about that, and just hang with your people. And so I did that, and I guess it changed me because I remember I had bought this house with a couple other people, and we were talking about when we sold our house, what we were going to do. And I said, maybe I'll move back to Kansas City. And I went, oh my God. I couldn't believe I said that, but, I kind of, when that happened, I kind of went, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the place,
And if
family
I'm doing
and
my
stuff.
math right, you were in San Francisco for about 22
right.
years.
Correct. And I moved back here, and I'm still not sure. The Spider-Man 3 came out, I think. The Raimi one, I think, came out about the time because I remember the next day I was here and I went to see that. But anyway,
All right.
so yeah, so I decided to move back. I just family and 9/11, that whole thing.
Yeah, it
it
kind of
was-
changed everybody's
Yeah,
thinking
Yeah.
about things.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
Wow. So you spent all the 80s in San Francisco and all through the grunge years of the 90s. So
Way to go. Way to survive that. by
so
the
no
way.
so no encounter.
wouldn't have.
Well, I mean, when I'm assuming you'd left Tower Records by the time grunge came in. So you didn't no longer had the access to randomly run into, or did you still run into
Oh, yeah.
big people during the 90s?
Oh yeah, I ran into people. Man, I can't even. I should sit down and write. Like how
Yeah.
many women you had, or whatever, sex with. And-
Memoirs.
Yeah, I should. No, I can't do that.
Okay.
But I should just sit down and see how many people I've actually met because I don't know. But yeah, I mean, and then I have hanging around Tower. All of us had stories about, or most of us had stories about people we met. I have one friend that her sister. Well, we were all friends, and they all worked at Tower. And her sister was really into U2, and she saw U2 when they were playing the club days. And she went to see the show, and she picked up their set list, and on the back of the set list was their itinerary for the next day. When to fly out. Well, she went to the airport and hung out with them. And hung out with them, and so I remember that. I went into a Japanese restaurant one time to get lunch, and there was the Edge sitting there with a couple of people.
Oh, okay, nice.
And I didn't say a word. I knew who he was, and he saw that I knew who he was, and I just kind of, hey man, and just went on about my business. Yeah, but I never met Primus, even though I have this story. And Green Day used to play at this one of the most disgusting places in the world, And I never met them, but they were around. But and then there was a place called the Babuhe Gardens, and that's where all the punk, you name it, they all played this terrible winky dink club. It's just known for that. The Go-Go's, Blondie, you name it. Just I saw Fishbone. I saw Living Color.
Hey, we saw Living Color together just
Yeah.
a couple 3 months ago.
Yeah, and they're coming back with
Yes.
Extreme.
With Extreme. Are you going to go to that?
Bought my ticket.
Where are they playing
Okay.
at?
Voodoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right, that one's going to be packed. Hey, I sorry to interrupt, but that show. By the way, I'm a big Radkey fan. I love Radkey, and I got to go talk to them that night. It's the second time I've met them, but they are so great.
oh, they like the opener.
They were the opener.
Yeah, they opened.
And man, Living Color came out, and they were so great.
And those guys have such a body of work now. But yeah, they, I used to go see them. I saw a show with them and the Bad Brains. I saw a show, the last show before this one with Living Color. I went to Afro Punk Festival in Brooklyn, and it was Bad Brains, Living Color, and Fishbone all together on one stage.
Yeah. Wow.
And they each did a couple of their songs, and they all jammed together. And Racky was there, and that was the first time I ever saw them was in Brooklyn. You know?
They get around.
Yeah,
They
don't
get around.
though?
They're good guys.
Yeah.
Fishbone, by the way. I mean, that would have been amazing to see Fishbone. I mean, that's.
Yeah, and I've seen Fishbone. I've seen, I don't know, Lenny Kravitz. I've seen I saw one show with Peter Gabriel, Bruce Springsteen, and Sting all together.
God.
You know, and
What a lineup. How do
Yeah.
you put that together?
yeah, but they did, you know, and they did their own sets. They did their complete sets, and they were just like, well, Bruce Springsteen can go on forever and a day.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
but I've seen Bow Wow Wow. I've seen the Eurythmics. I've seen, I don't know.
It's a wide variety of musical.
Yeah, Sinead O'Connor,
Okay.
Missing Persons.
Missing Persons was a good band, too.
I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers before they were huge.
They were just red and chili pepper. They
Yeah.
weren't hot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Should
so,
we- I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
you go ahead.
I would say, should we take a break and then come back?
Yeah, I think so. We are an hour in exactly.
Okay.
So usually we'll take a quick break and then sit down and kind of cool down
Talk
with what you're
about
doing these days.
Kansas City.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.